Yes. What's happening, people? And welcome to Higher Life, the Round Table Sessions, episode 2.
Let's go.
Episode 2. Episode 2. I am your host. My name is Daniel Eduardo from the one and only Brightline.
Did you forget your band?
I forgot what band I'm part of. Whoa, I'm sinking as well in this chair.
See you later.
My name is Daniel Eduardo from Brightline, but let me introduce my special guests. To my left, we have Dan and Sammy. Would you introduce yourselves? Dan, who are you? What do you do? And what band are you part of?
Hi, I'm Sammy. I'm from Soulbox. No, my name is Dan. I'm from Amongst Wolves. I'm the lead singer. That's it.
Great.
There you go.
And we have...
I am Sammy, and I'm in Soulbox, and I am a singer.
Great.
I dabble in a little rap when I was.
Oh.
Okay.
Excuse
I just need a good ghostwriter, so if that's you, I'm your girl.
And where can people find your music? What's your handles? How could people
Hit us
follow
up.
you?
We're Amongst Wolves on Instagram. You can go check out Amongst Wolves on Spotify, Apple Music. It's about to say iTunes. That's not a thing anymore, is it? Apple Music now.
Apple Music.
Don't
I mean, it
get
still
like-
exists.
Does it still exist?
Does it though?
Yes.
What about,
Okay.
what about you, Sammy? Where people-
I thought it did.
It's the same, Apple Music, Spotify, Soulbox, and on Instagram, catch us at Soulbox Band. So yeah, that's
Awesome. And to my right, we have Jacob Kemp returning,
What's up?
episode 2, and we have Gina Atkins coming as well. Would you introduce yourselves? Who are
What's
you?
up?
What do you do?
Welcome back to me and Gina. The last two people obviously got fired from last week. So
by
You've made it
popular
to
demand.
episode
Made it. We're the
I'm-
Made
survivors.
it.
I'm Jacob. I play guitar, bass, a little bit of BVs for Brightline. So I hang out with Daniel on stage.
Nice.
Boom. And my name is Gina. I'm from OTC, and I do nothing else but sing, I'm afraid. Maybe rap one day. One day.
It will
Some
happen.
bars.
Amazing.
Yep.
Great stuff. And like I said, I am Daniel. I'm not quite sure what I do in Brightline. I jump on stage a lot.
We don't know. Actually.
We don't
What do
know.
you do in Brightline?
I like to think I'm a conductor.
A conductor.
Conductor.
Tell us at home. Tell us at home, guys. What do you think Daniel does in Brightline?
You know,
Let me see in the comments.
John once came up to me and said, someone went up to him and said, Daniel is great, isn't he? And John went, yeah, he's great. And then the guy asked John, what does he do? What does he actually do?
It's the question we've been
What does
asking.
he actually do? Anyway, so it's been an interesting week. I want to know if you guys have found any news, any kind of funny stuff that went on within the world.
For sure.
In the globe.
So in Florida, that's where my mother-in-law lives.
Okay.
In Florida, beautiful place, like to visit. I didn't realize up until I think yesterday it was illegal to have baggy trousers. What? So literally, if you wore your trousers without a belt and they were baggy, it was illegal. You could get fined. There were signs up.
Wow.
How much is the fine?
I don't know how much the fines were. If you don't, I mean, have a look on the internet. That's how it works. But yeah, now the signs have been taken down. It is no longer illegal. So if that is your style, Cholos representing, you can wear your baggy jeans. Or if you're a skater boy,
Yeah, them baggy jeans.
if you're a skater boy, you said, "See you later, boy." Well, come back.
Say that again.
Awesome.
There we
See you
go.
again, boy. Say hello again,
You
boy.
don't have to be fined anymore. Anyone else seen any?
I've got a story from a little bit closer to home. Apparently, guys, a man was caught going from Swinton to Manchester, right, with a snake as a face covering. An
I mean,
actual
that's
Don't even
inventive.
understand.
snake. A snake ran his face.
Can I ask a question? Was it his pet or did he?
I actually don't know. All I know is it is
Or was he getting strangled? And you know what was happening?
Everyone's just like, "That's an interesting face back," and he's like, "Help! Help!"
But he couldn't say anything because
Oh gosh.
covered.
Oh, that's awful. That's not even funny.
Thanks for that, Gina.
all right. Anytime.
For that. What about you guys? Did you see anything?
I saw, get this. I know like we all missed stuff over lockdown, like we couldn't go outside and it was hard, right? But I found there's one woman missed Greg's most out of
feel
all
that.
things,
I can-
specifically Greg's sausage rolls.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I like a good Greg's sausage roll, but
come on.
this was the thing she was most annoyed about. And so to remedy the situation, as soon as she could, she got a tattoo of the
Oh
Greg's
my
logo
days.
What a
on her butt
legend.
cheek.
On her bottom.
No.
What a legend.
No.
She did.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And she said in the interview she was unsure about it because she was also going to get an actual sausage roll on the other butt cheek. That's the bit she was unsure about. Getting the second one, like not just getting the logo, that's fine.
What if the tattoo artist tried to talk her out of it, or was just like,
Oh, the tattoo artist
You
was up
sure
for it.
about this?
amazing?
The tattoo artist was
about
I'm not
hyped for
backing
man.
it. I'm not backing it. I'm not backing it. Sammy, what you got?
It's a sad one, actually, guys. Like, I kind of grew up watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Oh.
Now I look back and I'm like, I don't know why. But it was a significant part of my childhood. Some of you may have never watched it, but some of you who have know that it's coming to an end.
Oh, wow.
It's ending as
it
of next
finishing
year.
it?
Like, finishing.
No more.
And, like, what did you say?
No more.
No more after that, no more.
Family
But
Kardashians,
it got me looking at like some of my favorite scenes, and there's this one particular scene where Kim's former husband throws her into like the pool, and she starts off laughing, and she's like, "I dropped my diamond earring, and she comes out, she's like fully crying her eyes out, and Courtney just peeps out, and she's like, "What's the problem?" And Kim's like, "My diamond earring," and she goes, "Kim, children are starving." It's just like, I love it. Like, literally, she's like so savage. I love it. I love Courtney.
Or maybe that's something that Jacob can get into. I know.
Me?
What, keeping up with the
Jacob can get in
Kardashians?
Keeping with Kardashians.
Keeping up with the Kemps.
Keeping with the Kemps. And
You guys ever have
Oliver,
kids, they
Jacob's
should all
Kemp.
start with K.
Oliver, which is Jacob's cat, can be a mate.
I would watch
Famous.
that.
I would watch it.
I saw one. I don't think this is as funny. I think it's more kind of ridiculous and crazy. Where this couple, famous YouTuber, went to Dubai, and I think it is Dubai, and they on the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world, 829.
it black and yellow?
Wiz Khalifa.
Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, that was
Man, just wasted.
Solid.
Thank you.
Solid. Anyway, the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa, and they announced they did the gender of the baby reveal on this building, and they cost over £70,000
Wait, so
just
what did
to
they do? They
project,
projected
just
it?
to project it, to project it
Wow.
onto the building. 70 grand just to
Imagine if it's
project
70 grand just to be like,
over that, just to
It's a
project.
toy.
Do that?
I
How?
don't know.
That's
And then, but a
insane.
Is that
projector.
like one 70-grand projector?
I watched the whole thing, and they had blue and pink just going round, and then blue, and then pink, and then blue, and then pink, and then it went blue.
And there was a boy.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what
I was like,
I'm not gonna
that's
lie.
confusing if it's
it was
got blue,
confusing.
pink, blue,
It
pink.
went for a long
What is
time
it?
as well.
Yeah.
All that money to
time.
not be clear at all.
But what was interesting, and I realized it's been 19 years. So today is the 16th of September.
Yeah.
This is live, 16th of September.
Live.
And realized that last Friday, 11th of September, was 19 years since 11th of September in 2001, where there was the attacks in America, the Twin Towers came tumbling down. Crazy time. And I thought today what we could talk about and explore a bit is the topic of fear. But talking about 9/11, I feel like some people around this table will remember that day vividly and remember what they were doing when they heard the news. And I feel like some people around this table will not remember that day. So
You were babies.
You were babies. So how? And maybe some people that are watching right now won't remember this at all either.
Showing your age, Danny.
I know. I am definitely the oldest around this table. But anyway,
Who's
do you?
30? He remembers this day.
I remember. I was shopping.
30-year-olds
I was shopping
raise
for
their
my dinner. No. Do you remember that day? How did you feel when you heard the news?
I don't.
Okay.
And I look back and I'm like, I feel like I should have been old enough to
Cool.
remember. I don't know if my parents just didn't like tell me or if I didn't see the news or whatever, but I actually don't remember it. So that's me.
Okay.
We had just arrived into America.
Oh,
like,
gosh, yeah.
into Florida, like right before it happened. And like we had some friends who were flying a similar time to us, or just while the 9/11 thing happened and had to get grounded in Houston and stuff. And we had just landed in Florida. We were having a little holiday there. And I remember just seeing it on the news and just being like, how is this real? Like I was just on a plane,
So crazy.
like, and that, you know what I mean? Like the what if? I mean, I was probably,
you're
I think I was
asking
like 6 or
questions,
7,
right?
but still like those questions of like, I was sat in the hotel room seeing the news on TV and it's like, oh my days.
Were you living in America then as well then? So
No, we
Oh,
went-
that
we-
was just
this
a
was
holiday.
just- yeah.
Wow, that's
So
mad.
so before we go to Sammy and Gina, because you being on holiday, obviously you had to come back to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Did that freak you out? Did it scare you to jump on the plane
Wow.
and to travel? Or did you not even really process it like that?
I don't think I processed, because we stayed in America for another 6 months after that, and that's when, well, so I was kind of living there. It was the flight back from America to the UK. It was like, because planes were grounded.
Yeah,
like
they
you
were.
could not fly
I
in
remember.
America for like I think
A
it
long
was
time.
a few weeks, yeah.
Long time, yeah.
And like, And so, but like once we went back into the airport, all of the security guards had guns. Like it took, I think back then I think it took us like 3 hours to get through security because every item of luggage was checked, everything.
Wow.
So it was like, I think as a kid though, it was more of like, it was scary, but it was like, it feels a bit of an adventure because it was like, obviously.
Yeah. What about you, Sammy or Gina? Do you remember?
I would have been 3, so I don't really remember it at all. But I remember like when it had been 10 years, and sort of it popping up in the news again and stuff, and asking my parents like about it, and they obviously like told me what happened and stuff. But I didn't remember the day because I was just so young.
Yeah.
But then it's weird growing up like knowing about it and almost kind of like being a backdrop to like our first couple of years alive. Really, it's bad.
I hear that. What about you?
I don't remember. I was living in Zimbabwe at the time, actually. So I don't remember much of it, but my aunties, I think one of them had just moved to the UK, either my auntie or my mum. So for them, it was like so significant because she was like, everything just stopped. Everyone was just like pausing and like, what is happening? Like the news everywhere. But no, I was too young.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember it really, really well. I remember being in after-school club and then seeing the news and my parents picking me up, and I remember telling my parents, "Oh my gosh, they are attacking America." And then maybe because I was 11 when it happened, and maybe because I was at that age, I became quite obsessed in just watching the news constantly. I think that was the first time I started watching the news on a daily basis. But I remember there was this real sense of fear. I remember going to the airport not long after that, and loads of security, people with guns. I remember it was from that point that I started to realize that people clapped whenever the plane landed. I remember being on the plane and then people would start clapping and cheering for because there's this real sense of like, this could be it. Like there's probably this will be the last time I'll see anything, you know what I'm saying, that the plane will crash. So I remember this real sense of fear for a long time, even in Portugal, for a long time. But I'm curious, since we're talking about fear, I'm curious to know, has there been any moments in your life where, you know, you've been scared? It can be as deep as you want, it can be as funny or as shallow as you want, but has there ever been a moment where you're like, I am right now fearful of this, I'm scared of this?
Oh, dude, like last week, I tried a VR headset on for the first time.
It was so
I saw a video of you doing that. That's
oh my word!
hilarious.
So I'm a bit of a nerd. I've like followed VR as a thing since it first started being developed, and like I had a lot of like hype in my mind around it, but I've never tried one. Never tried one, and I expected it to be really disappointing. I expected to put it on and be like, oh yeah, it's like it's just looking at a screen, innit? But I put it on, and like your brain is a sucker for it, man. Like
Really?
yeah, for real.
So
like
realistic.
all of you believes it. And I loaded it up and I went on this game where you get taken up escalator. Yeah, lift, and you the lift opens. There's just this plank that comes out. It's on OTC's YouTube. Mark does the same thing. If you want to go check it out, and it's like. You watch it on video, and you watch Mark doing it on OTC's show.
He was so scared.
But you watch it on the video, and you're like, it's not scary at all. What are you on about? But when you're in there, man, it's like all of your senses. 'Cause you can hear it, you can see stuff in like 3D space, and the only part of you that doesn't believe it's true is like the conscious part that you keep having to remind yourself.
Yeah.
And so I was terrified. And there's, you've probably all seen the video now of me like crawling on the office floor trying to get out on this plank. And it's ridiculous because I'm like, there's no conceivable reason really why I should be afraid.
That's amazing.
And yet my brain was wired. I was shaking.
Yeah.
It felt so real. And I was
I need to try
genuinely.
it,
I haven't done it yet. We should
I was
do
genuinely,
that.
and I know it's really stupid, but I was genuinely afraid. I would like pull the headset off and look around the office and be like, okay, I'm still in office. and then I'd put it back on and I'd be like, I'm gonna die. Like, this is the end. So yeah, I was genuinely afraid. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
So I've been afraid of water for a long time. My parents tried to get me to swim like all my life. They would take me to swimming lessons, and for a bit of honesty, I would just sit on the side and cry every single time. It took
I feel bad when we started trending #Jacob can't swim.
You did not do that.
They
Why
did.
did you do that?
It took until I got into year I think year like 5 in school when I was still living in England. I was in year 5, and we went to the swim baths, and I just had to pretend like I wasn't afraid because I was like, oh, I need to be cool in front of all my friends, and then I was like, I just had to pretend, and so like, so I still can't swim. I mean, I have had a couple of times where I've nearly drowned in the ocean, which are scary. I got caught on a riptide one time where it pulled me out, and my dad had to swim out and pull me back. And another time I like got, for some reason I can't swim, and it was a really hot day, and I was like, I'm gonna go swimming. I can't swim. And so I swam past the waves, and then a wave hits me, and then I go, oh yeah, I can't swim.
Oh
and I
my
like get above the water, and I'm like, ayúdame, which means help me in Spanish. And I'm like, ah, and I go back, come on, ayúdame. And then this guy on the side whistles, and this boat comes, like a tourist boat comes and saved me.
My heart is erased.
But yeah, but to the point where me and Daniel
funny or not?
did this
You were-
thing,
that you
me and
can't
Dad,
swim.
but yeah, me and Daniel did this, I mean, but I can get from A to B,
Yeah.
but I
Okay,
just look
right.
like a dog, a fully doggy
You did
paddle.
the doggy paddles? I
Fully
did the
doggy paddle.
paddles too.
But to the point where me and Daniel did this, you know, this rough runner run thing.
Total warrior.
Total Warrior run thing, and there was like these bars, and you had to, I could touch the floor, but you just had to go under the water to get there. And I would run up, and I was like, yeah, I got this, let's do this. And I got into the water, and I was like, Daniel, can you hold my hand? And Daniel had to hold my hand.
Give you a
and
pep talk.
and
We can do this. And then, I remember so well because you had these bars, and then you can do this, and then when I said on the count of 3, we both go underwater. 1, 2, 3.
and then you would,
Okay.
you would hold my hand and pull me under, and I was like, I'm okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, man,
Oh, I
teamwork.
just got a little picture of you guys like in primary school.
No,
we were
two
grown men.
Two grown men. You can. There was no slapping. It was.
That's cute.
Oh, that's
We did it. We
hilarious.
completed, and it
Wow.
was fun.
Hey, nice one, man.
Wow. And what about you, Gina or Sammy?
It's a good one. I think the most scared I've ever been in my life. I've done a skydive, which makes me sound really adventurous and like super brave, right? I was terrified. Like I talk a lot. On the whole drive there, didn't say a word. I couldn't even bring myself to like look at my sister who was driving me. I was like, I need to get in the zone. But I did it, and it was the best thing
Did
I've
you
ever
pass
done in
out?
my life.
I've seen videos of people like,
No, I mean I didn't.
That's not how you want to wake up, is it? That is a bad morning. Those mornings go.
Literally, I've seen I've seen so many videos of people just like.
I can actually see tears in his eyes. Laughing.
you didn't do that even though you're
didn't
scared
do
of
that.
heights.
No, I didn't.
Amazing.
As well.
Gina, man, you're making me look real bad because you skydived and I couldn't step up to like a skyscraper ledge in VR.
No, mate. I tried that VR. I was shaking
crazy.
as well, man.
What about you, Sammy? Any moments where you?
Do you know what? I'm really scared of meeting people for the first time, right? Because I'm very confident as a person, like I actually really am. But somehow I just end up being really awkward. And like, it usually happens when I go on like a first date with someone. So if I'm like, I'm like, yeah, girls, I'm so ready for this. Like, yeah, I've got this. And then I'll get myself all psyched up, then I'll get there. And I'll never forget this one date I had with this guy. And we went to the cinema. There's this cinema in Manchester called AMC. It's like changed to an Odeon now. And there's a huge it's huge, right? And so like we've just seen the movie. I'm like, oh, I'm doing so good so far. Got through a whole movie. Nothing embarrassing. I'm nailing this. We're coming out the film. We're about to go out and we're talking. And then the next thing I knew was just bum, 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 all the way down to the bottom of this escalator. I fell all the way down the escalator, like fully just a bumper, and then I just kind of like got right back up like nothing happened, and I carried on the conversation. So he managed.
That's the best bit.
Literally, I just got back up. I wait for him to get down, carry on the conversation. We kind of walk all the way towards the door, and then he goes, "Are we not going to talk about what?"
Phenomenal.
And I was like, oh, I kind of thought you didn't see that.
I thought you didn't see me fall down the stairs.
The whole escalator. Yeah, I was all right though, to be fair. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's funny, man.
So I guess we've all
good
had
edge.
moments and at times in our lives where we felt scared. It's interesting because we're all Christians, we all follow Jesus, and the reason why we have these roundtable sessions is to talk about life stuff and what does it mean to be a Christian in those circumstances, or how do we face certain things as Christians. So I would want to know, what do you guys think in terms of what does it mean to be a Christian and being scared? For example, one of the things that Jesus says is, love has no fear, but perfect love casts out all fear. That's something that we read in the Bible. And I know, like, for my wife, Emily, that's a big verse, to the point that we got it framed in our house, because that's a big thing for her. She's someone that, gets scared. She loves Jesus, she follows Jesus as well, but she used to get scared a lot, especially at nighttime. Nightmares were a massive thing for her. She would watch James Bond, a movie, James Bond, and then she'll watch it, and then all of a sudden she'll go to sleep, and all she could picture and visualize is that she's running away from criminals, and they're going to murder her, and then she couldn't sleep. If I was on tour, she would have to go to her parents' house because she couldn't be at home by herself. It's that kind of intense. And I remember this when we went to Brazil, and we were staying in these communities called favelas, which are really rough, and we were told that you would see kids with guns and machine guns and all that kind of stuff, to be prepared. And I hadn't told Emily this really, because I didn't want to freak her out. And then we arrived there, and then I kind of explained to her, and she was like, cool, I'm not going to sleep tonight, something's going to happen to me. And then she kept reminding herself of this passage in the Bible, perfect love casts out all fear, perfect love casts out all fear. And she said, she went to sleep, and she woke up, and she said that was the best night's sleep she ever had. Like, all that fear that she had for years and years and years totally disappeared, and since then she's been able to sleep at night, and that's been over a year now. You know what I'm saying? Which is amazing. But nevertheless, as a Christian, she still had fears. I want to know, for you guys, you talked about your fears. How have you dealt with it as a follower of Jesus? How do you deal with that on a regular?
For sure. I like what you said, like the perfect love casts out all fear, that scripture, and it's like, what is the opposite to fear? Okay, perfect love. And another thing that makes me think is like, what is the opposite to fear? It makes me think of like something like peace. In a fearful situation, if you can feel peace, like how are you able to do that? And it makes me think of this story in the Bible where, Jesus and his friends are on a boat, they're sailing across this lake, and all Jesus' friends, like they were fishermen, so they were used to being on a boat. They'd been on this boat since, they'd not on this particular boat. They'd been on this boat since they were kids. Their whole lives. They'd sailed on this.
Really seasick.
They'd sailed on this lake for, since they were kids. And Jesus is tired. He's like, you know what, guys? I'm gonna take a nap. I'm sleepy. Goes to take a nap, and then this huge storm hits, right? Huge storm, waves are crashing over the side, thunder and lightning. They're literally holding on for their lives. The crates are being washed into the water, and they're freaking out. And that it must be in a huge storm, because they'd been on this lake. They would have experienced storms before, and they were thinking they're gonna die. So they go down to Jesus, like, you need to help us right now. And he goes up to the boat, to the front of the boat, goes to the top, and goes, shh. And like suddenly the storm quiet, suddenly the waves disappear, the clouds part, and he brings a peace to that situation. And I think that's, something like what happened to Emily. Like God, like Jesus can bring us peace in the scariest of situations. Now, another thing, we were talking about this before, Dan, like even if, Jesus didn't have to necessarily bring, stop the waves or the storm for them to feel peace. The waves and the storms could have continued, and he could have brought peace to that situation. Just if they continued doesn't mean that he wasn't there with them. And even in the situations when we feel so scared and we don't feel that peace, we know that God is still with us. You know what I mean?
It's good. Really good. It's the peace element as well. It's like, because when I think of the lot of fear that I've had, and it is true, it's in a lot of social situations, it's like, oh, but will people like me if I go up to them and I speak to them? Like, are they going to accept me? And that came from like having a fear around who I am as a person, and whether that's enough for people to actually like welcome me in. But it's so sick, as you were saying, I was like, yeah, it is peace, because it's like when I came to peace with who God says I am, as in like he says, oh, Sammy, you're amazing, and I love you, and that actually empowers me then to be like, oh, do you know what? Even if I get into a social situation, like something for you guys, which might be big at home, is like that first day back into school. Like lockdown's been so long, you're like, oh, but will my friends still like me? And there's a fear within that, isn't there? But for me, when I began to remember who God says I am, that he loves me and he accepts me, it empowered me to then go into those situations with peace and not feel so afraid. And there are people that I've met for the first time and they've never hung out with me again. But then there are also a lot of people that I've met who accept me me in a way that God accepts me, and that fills me with a lot of peace. Like, it's mad.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think for me, it's about knowing that whatever I'm going through, like whatever situation, it can be the biggest monster like in my life. It can be the worst feeling of fear or the worst situation. Bible tells me God's bigger.
Wow, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like, and in that situation, that story you told, Jacob, where there's that storm and they're all freaking out, it's because God is bigger. Jesus was able to just say shush to the waves, and they just stopped, right?
Yeah.
And like God has power over the storm, and I love that story. And it makes me think of another story, a similar story in the Bible.
Yeah.
You guys have written a song about it, Walking on the Waves, where there's another crazy storm, and this time Jesus isn't in the boat, and they're all freaking out again. And then they see Jesus walking towards them on the waves, right? And he's coming towards them, and Peter like gets out of the boat and starts walking on the waves too. Check out Walking on the Waves by Brighton.
Like St. Peter.
It's like St. Peter. In this situation, Jesus doesn't get rid of the storm. And sometimes in life, like as a Christian, let's be real, the storm doesn't always go away. We believe we have a God who can just make the sea flat, can just level everything. But sometimes situations don't change. We don't always know why. It's maybe a conversation for another time. But what I love about this story is that while Peter was looking at Jesus, while he had his eyes fixed on Jesus, he was walking on the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was only when he started like looking at the waves and going, oh, that was a pretty big one. That was a pretty scary loud
Actually, the
bolt of
situation
lightning.
is bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably that moment where he's like, I shouldn't have got out of the boat. Maybe that was a stupid thing to do. But it's at that moment that he actually starts sinking, and Jesus reaches out his hand and he grabs his hand and he pulls him out.
good, man.
And what I always take from this, every time I hear the story, I'm like, man, the point of that is that the waves might not go away. Sometimes life is just hard all the time, and it can feel like there's not going to be an end to it. But where's your focus?
Yeah, good.
Rather,
That's good.
where are you looking? Like, who are you looking at? Are you looking at the waves?
Yeah.
Or are you looking at the one who is bigger than the waves, who does have the
yeah.
authority and could make it go away if he wanted to? And it's in that moment I think I find Pete's like amidst the storm. Like some of the hardest moments in my life can genuinely say have been some of the most peaceful moments.
Wow.
And I can only explain it's
Good, man.
because I feel God is with me.
Yeah.
It's not that the storm's gone away, it's still there.
Yeah.
Storm is still there, but my focus is on the one who has power over it.
Yeah.
And I know how the story is going to turn out.
Yeah.
I know that at the end of my life, I get to go and be in perfection with God forever.
Let me ask you a question. Sorry, if it's
No,
cool.
go
Just
for it.
just for the people who are experiencing fear at home, how do you be Peter in that situation and keep your eyes focused on Jesus, like you were saying, in some of the big storms? How can people at home keep their eyes fixed on Jesus in that moment?
Well, your focus and where you're looking affects how you think about stuff, right? And affects how you see stuff. That's kind of why why I believe Peter wasn't freaking out when he was looking at Jesus, because he saw the one that had the power over all of it. And for me, when like life gets really tough and I feel fearful, I feel anxious, I pray.
Yeah.
And I don't say anything magical. Sometimes I don't have the words. Sometimes I'm just so exhausted from feeling anxious. I don't have the words, but I'm just like, God, I believe today, even though I don't feel it, even though I don't feel like it, I believe today that you are still God, that you are still
Good, yeah.
powerful, that you still hold the whole world in the palm of your hand, and that you've got a tight grasp on me. And I know where I'm headed when I die. I know where I'm headed when everything falls apart. And like I say, there's been some of the most peaceful moments in my life.
Good, man.
When I recognise who God is rather than what my situation is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognise who God is, and sometimes I just speak it out. I'm just
Yeah.
like, God, you're powerful.
Yeah.
God, I believe that you love me. I believe that you're for me. I believe that I will see you in the end.
That's good, man.
And-
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. Because I think of multiple stories within the Bible. I know, and I just think like David and Goliath, and it's exactly what you're talking about. You know, David, there's this situation where this army is about to attack, David's mates and his army. And David, instead of looking at the circumstances or looking what's around, he knew who God was and knew that
Yeah,
God was
yeah.
by his side. So this little kid was able to defeat this giant. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that can be the same thing for even you who's watching at home, knowing that you are not alone in this adventure.
Yeah.
But in the midst of the storms, in the midst of what might seem as a fearful situation, God is with you. God cares about you and God loves you. And actually, God wants to be in a relationship with you. And that is made possible because of what Jesus did, which is great. One tip, if you were to give one tip, I know Dan mentioned prayer. Is there anything you'd want to add in terms of a tip as we wrap this up? And before, as you think, shout out to Olivia Wood, shout out to Harry Wilson, and shout out to John of VR as well. Thanks for watching, guys.
Baby steps, I would say as well, with fear. I think something that's really helped me is that, so I got through a period where for some reason I was scared of public transport. I was scared of being in a situation where I couldn't control it, scared of going on trains, scared of going on buses, scared of going on planes. And I started with me making baby steps. So me and my wife went to Aldi, and that was like a 10-minute drive from my house, and I let her go in the car on the way home, and I took the bus. That was like a 10-minute drive, and then she picked me up at the bus stop, and we drove home together. It was a baby step, even though that felt like a tiny thing, and then maybe the next time I can't face going on the bus, but I took that initial step, and sometimes you just have to face your fear, and that doesn't mean that like you're scared of spiders, that you have to get into a tank full of spiders. You know what I mean? Maybe that just means it's one small step after another small step after another small step, and then you'll eventually be able to, to overcome some of these things.
That's really good. Amazing. We'll be back again next week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. for another roundtable sessions. But before we wrap it up, Sammy, would you pray for us? Would you pray that people find peace?
Yeah.
Would you pray that people experience God's amazing love towards them?
100%, yeah. Yeah, God, I just thank you so much that you love every single person that's watching this at home, God. I thank you that you love them, and I thank you that you created them and have an incredible purpose for their lives, God. And yeah, Jesus, I just thank you that in the midst of the storms of life, in those things that make us feel so down, God, the hard things that make us feel so scared, that you can be with us in that, God. And whoever's watching this today who needed to hear that, God, I thank you that your peace is always there for them to tap into, God. So yeah, we thank you for that, and we thank you for everybody watching. Amen.
Amen. Great. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we will see you next week.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.